Hello, good evening, and welcome to St. Peter's in Hove. I'm Father Alexander, and tonight we're going to look at Psalm 38, 39 on our 154th, is it? Walking step in our walking tour through the Bible. Now, today I was reading my favourite book. I tried reading another book, and then my goodness, I couldn't get on with it, so I turned to my favourite book, which is the Aeneid of Virgil. And I turned, in fact, to my favourite line in the Aeneid of Virgil, which is as follows. It's book one, line 462, I think. Let me just try and find it because I've got it here somewhere. Here we go. I think you can still see me. Sunt lacrimae rerum et mentem mortalia tangunt. That is the famous line I was thinking of. Now, in the first book of the Aeneid, Aeneas and his companions have been washed up on the shore of North Africa near Carthage, having been persecuted by the gods for years and years, having fled Troy. And they find, when he arrives in Carthage, he looks at these temple doors, which illustrate the story of the Trojan War. And he has the rather odd experience of seeing himself depicted on the temple doors, and indeed the death of Achilles, of Hector, and so on and so forth. And he says, "Haec sunt lacrimae rerum, et mentem mortalia tangunt." These are the tears of life, and the thoughts of death touch the mind, or something like that, because it's translated in a variety of ways. Lacrimae rerum could be the tears of existence, the tears of life, or the sadness of things, something like that. What he's talking about is the fact that life is so sad, Troy has fallen, all the things we thought were permanent have been taken away from us, and of course we're confronted with the deaths of our dear friends. And we alone have survived, and indeed, as he knows only too well, life is a bit of a shipwreck. He's just been through a shipwreck. Now, I think of that in the context of Psalm 38, 39, which is also a lament on the transitoriness of life. And I think the transitoriness of life is a major theme that we all have to face up to. Indeed, it's a theme that is it's rather odd to say this, it's a theme that greatly enriches our life. The fact that we're here only for a short time makes us realize how important and precious this short time that we have really is. Now, the man is speaking, the psalmist is speaking, and he says, "I said I will be watchful of my ways, for fear I should sin with my tongue. I will put a curb on my lips. When the wicked man stands before me, I was dumb, silent, and still. His prosperity stirred my grief. My heart was burning within me. The thought of it, the fire blazed up. My tongue burst into speech. O Lord, you have shown me my end. How short is the length of my days. Now I know how fleeting is my life." So the psalmist has this insight into the fleetingness of life. And what gives him this insight into the fleeting nature of life is how the wicked prosper, how the wicked do well, and the good men not so well. "You have given me a short span of days." I think that's a good line. You have given me a short span of days. Summer's lease hath but too short a date, as Shakespeare so rightly said. My life is as nothing in your sight. A mere breath, the man who stood so firm. A mere shadow, the man passing by. A mere breath, the riches he hoards, not knowing who will have them. This applies to me, of course. My life is transitory, but it also applies to the rich man, the prosperous man. He's going to find, he can't take it with him, that even his earthly goods are transitory. At least his ownership of them is transitory. And now, Lord, what is there to wait for? In you rests all my hope. So, faced with the transitoriness of life, faced with there's a famous poem, isn't there, in Westminster Abbey, I can't remember who wrote it, which is about early or late they stoop to fate, and in the dust are equal made with crooked scythe and spade. It's on the vanity of human wishes. It's another poem, but that is the theme. Faced with the vanity of human wishes, the emptiness of human wishes, what do? We trust in God. I think this is so, so, so very important. All our problems stem from the fact that we are overconfident about human achievement. We are overconfident about what we can do, and frequently this overconfidence leads to disaster. Whereas we need to have faith in what God can do. It's simple, really. That's the recipe for success. Have faith in God and have doubts about yourself. Nowadays, people have turned that on its head. They have doubts about God and they have faith in themselves. Mistake. Set me free from all my sins. Do not make me the taunt of the fool. I was silent, not opening my lips, because this was all you're doing. Take away your scourge from me. I'm crushed by the blows of your hands. You punish man's sins and correct him. Like the moth, you devour all he treasures. Now, he's talking here about the rich man is going to be punished. And like the moth, you devour all he treasures. You know, it's really awful. Moths are a nightmare. Sometimes you might have a beautiful carpet, you know, one of those wonderful woolen carpets and so on, and it gets moths, and nobody can get rid of the moths. Sometimes you might have a beautiful sweater that you put away in a drawer, and you go to open it up again, and it's full of holes. You think, oh no, that sweater cost me a huge amount of money. And, you know, we weep for our carpets, we weep for our sweaters, but we really need to weep for our sins. That's what really counts, you know, because our sins have eternal resonances. Mortal man is no more than a breath. O Lord, hear my prayer. O Lord, do not turn your ear to my cry. Do not be deaf to my tears. In your house I'm a passing guest, a pilgrim, like all my fathers. Look away that I may breathe again before I depart to be no more. Now, this is a beautiful image. I'm a passing guest. I'm not here forever. Other people will be here soon, and people will forget that I was ever here. I'm a pilgrim. Now, that is a nice phrase. I didn't know what the original phrase is in Hebrew. I'm a pilgrim. In fact, this might be just a rather exciting translation by the Grail. Let's just have a look at this in 38, 39. Here we have it. I'm a bit flummoxed for a moment by the numbering. Save if you want to do it. I keep silence. Take your. I'm worn out by the blows that you correct human beings like a moth. Blah blah blah. Do not be deaf. I'm a stranger in your house. A nomad, it says, like all my ancestors. A nomad. Okay. A nomad is somebody just who wanders around. A pilgrim is actually somebody. It's a rather interesting translation because it adds quite a bit. A pilgrim is somebody who doesn't wander around. Pilgrim is somebody who's directed towards his goal, which is God. And of course, let's end with this line. Where is it gone? It says, do not be deaf to my tears. And let's go back to Aeneas, who says, these are the tears of life. And the thought of mortality touches our minds. These are the tears of life. Aeneas probably, or Virgil probably thought that, you know, the gods were not particularly interested in human tears. But this man says, oh Lord, where's it gone? Do not be deaf to my tears. We cry, we weep with the tears of life, but God will hear us because God is compassionate. In the end, this is a very hopeful psalm, I think. So these are the tears of life, and the threat of mortality presses down on our minds. But let's have confidence and hope in God. But I would say that because, yeah, I believe in God. All the very best. Bye.